day 15 of the Bridechilla 30 days of wedding planning. And, well, who am I, by the way? Alicia. Every day I forget to introduce myself. Alicia is my name. I'm the host of Bridechilla, the podcast, and the founder of the Bridechilla movement. And today I want to talk about hiring your friends as vendors. The industry, the wedding industry, likes to call these people friendors. They are potentially skilled people whom you know, who may or may not be being paid for their services, and they can be really great and they can be not really great. So I want to break down a bit of the pros and cons of working with people you know or friends that are like, I'll do that for you. Yeah, I'll do it. I'm really good at that. I'll do it. And making sure that you have discussed with them exactly what you want and need, and also contracts. I know this seems weird that you've got a friend who's good at flowers and you're going to give her a contract and she might be like, what the fuck is this? It's a contract. I don't know if I want to use your contract. I just said I'd do flowers for you. But you're putting a lot of time and energy into planning a wedding day, and I don't care if you're spending $500 or $500,000. You want to make sure that your wedding goes smoothly, goes to plan, you get stuff done that you want done, and that people show up and have a good time. So when it comes to hiring people, and it is hiring, whether you have a friend who's really great at graphic design and offers to do your invitations, which is fantastic, or maybe you've got an auntie who can cook a shit hot cake, great. Or a friend that owns a deck or some decks and likes to do a bit of DJing on the side. These are all great opportunities for you to maybe save some money and have people that you love and enjoy their company being involved in your wedding day, which is ace. However, you must be careful when inviting people that you know to be a part of your wedding day, when you might think potentially they might not come home with the goods. There's been some very orcs and actually quite sad discussions on the Bridechilla community where people have had quite casual conversations with their friends about potentially being a part of their wedding as a vendor. And often these friends are people that want to leave full-time jobs and want to do this as a living, to make a living. So it's a great opportunity for them to get another wedding under their belt and to do that. However, sometimes you hear stories about people saying, oh, my friend said she'd do the cake, and then 2 weeks before she's too busy, or she broke up with a boyfriend, or she has to go out on a work trip so she can't make the cake. And then you're a bit fucked because you've got 2 weeks left. You got to ring around when you're supposed to be doing 50 million other things and find a cake. Now, that sucks, and I'm sure the friend didn't mean to let you down, and circumstances happen all the time where it's out of our control. Health, jobs, travel, life. But it's left you in a position where you've got to run around and figure it out and probably end up paying more than you would have paid 6 months ago to buy a cake. And also it can really disrupt the friendship, which is to me the more upsetting thing. I mean, you can find a cake, fine. You go to the supermarket and buy a cake. It doesn't really matter. But the idea that someone's let you down, and that can be hard to get over. And my impression about all of these situations where you might be asking friends is just to step back and think, if this goes really well, that's amazing. Gold stars. But if this falls in a heap, how will this affect our relationship? Or if they produce something that's not very good, seriously, if your auntie's produced a cake that looks like a big turd and you don't want to use it at your wedding, how will you that's offensive to Auntie Marjorie. But you want to make sure that you're grateful, but be like, I don't want to put the turd cake in the wedding. So I think from my advice to you, what I'm really just trying to bring home is consider very carefully who you invite to take part in being a part of your wedding. And to be honest, sometimes saving $100 or $200 somewhere else to not have the potential sort of quality and the legitimacy of having a real vendor being involved, and that their business relies on them turning up and doing a good job, sometimes it's worth just paying the extra money. And then also it can be great working with family and friends. And I'm certainly not disparaging you from doing that, but I do think it's just worth thinking about what is meaningful to you, what you find value in, and also your friendships. The other thing I'm going to talk about further on down the track in a more in-depth way is contracts and how important contracts are. And I will touch on Friendors in that episode, but just make sure that you have things in writing, that they really know what is required of them. If they're making a cake, will they deliver it to the venue? When will it be ready? Could you see it the day before? Does it need to be put in a fridge? These are all the things that a planner or a professional vendor would already sort out for you. So just make sure you're on top of the logistics as well. If they're providing a service or an item for your wedding day, that you know where you stand and they know where they stand. And if they're saying, just sling us a couple of bucks for all the ingredients in the cake, and then you realize a couple of bucks ends up being $250 because they're using a special fondant, or or, you know, they've tried to make it 14 times and failed and they're going to send you the bill. Just make sure you know where you stand, how much money is going to be changing hands. And if it's just a lovely gift, that's great, but still make sure that you empower them with information of what you expect, when it's supposed to be arriving in your person. If it's arriving at a venue, whatever, you know when it's coming. And if it feels off, or if it feels like they feel obliged, just hire someone else and maintain your friendship, because that's what's really important. Saving money versus potentially ruining a friendship, just pay the money. That's what I have to say about that. So I hope that's helped you thinking a little bit about your highly skilled friends, your frienders, and just really being able to focus on what you want to achieve with your wedding. Tomorrow's episode of 30 Days of Wedding Planning, I am looking at parents who contribute funds to your wedding, and that is the what I like to call wedding donors, people who are contributing money, and then sometimes they expect money to be given in return, or they expect... Is that right? That's not right. Tomorrow, on day 16 of the 30 Days of Wedding Planning, I talk about something that's quite common. It's a common complaint, and that is that one partner is really into wedding planning and the other one's not doing very much. And it can be really frustrating for this partner and also for this partner, because maybe they're just not being heard. They just want people to listen to them and to be heard. So I'm going to give you some really practical ways to get your partner involved if potentially they are not as interested as you may be in wedding planning. If you are keen to learn more about Bridechilla and perhaps purchase some, I know I'm doing this sort of noise, books. What an idiot. Bridechilla Field Guide and the Bridechilla Survival Guide. This is the reading book and this is the doing book. That's how I like to describe it. This is the book you carry to vendor appointments, or when you're going to see your friends, take this one with you, and this is the one to read about how to do it. If you would like to learn more about these books, you can visit bridechillastore.com. And I thank you so much for watching, and I'm excited to read your comments below. If you are working with a friend or friender and you would like some I don't know, some words of wisdom, or if you want to share their work, that'd be amazing. I would love to see it. Until tomorrow, happy days! Woo-hoo!